What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Business and Biceps. And you better wake your ass up, because on today's show, we've got a topic from our homeboy Alex Weary today.
Alex is a smart guy.
He is a smart guy.
In many ways.
He's a funny guy, too.
He is.
So I'm excited about that. John's going to lay it down here in a second, but I want to, tell you about our sponsors real quick. Boston Sword and Tuna at shop.bstseafood.com. We want to give you 15% off. Utilize the code BIZBIS15 to get 15% off all that fresh East Coast seafood delivered straight to your door overnight. And, of course, maxeffortmuscle.com. Any 3 products, John Fosco,
Cory,
and you get a free T-shirt.
Any 3, but I think you have to talk about the fact that every single one of them, how much time do you put in to formulation, to overseeing that they're quality?
A lot of time. And when things don't work, I get mad, John.
Boom. You knew where I was going.
I knew exactly where you were going.
Yeah.
John's amazing.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to open up the show with this. Maurice, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great. Had a great event at our facility yesterday. Still in the housing market, shopping for a house, and still happy to come here and record. Recording day is always fun to me. I think I enjoy the small talk before the show.
Yeah.
The small talk, because usually when I go, I have to leave. I'm dipping right out, either going to yoga or something else. But self-care, always talk about self-care. Got to take care of yourself. But other than that, I'm good. What about you, brothers?
I'm great, man. We had a good, solid day yesterday.
Yeah.
Got a lot of things taken care of here in the office. Starting to get a groove of John living here now.
What about the SWOT analysis?
So we did a portion of it.
We
which
did
is
an
up
odd,
there.
an
We did an
odd
odd
analysis.
Because
Because
the SW we kind of did
the SW
twice.
we did without knowing
Yeah.
day one, so we did an odd analysis. And if you look
Opportunities
up
and
there,
threats.
OT.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
you see?
Okay.
There you go.
And we're working on.
So why wouldn't you complete the whole quadrant?
Cory didn't want to.
Yeah, we already did it. We already did it twice.
So, no, but you have to drive the. How do you extract the goals out of that?
Well, I honestly, we spent 2 hours at least on the SW already and already had stuff on the side of what we need to execute. So I really wanted to hear more about the opportunities and threats because I think we had pretty much already identified the weaknesses.
So at that point, are y'all creating a running list of tasks that has to be executed and knocked out?
Yeah, like hand it out to
Yes.
each individual. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh,
we already
okay,
been on.
there
We were kind of already. Well, we were already
Yeah.
kind of in motion with it, but these things that John had put out and then
Structural.
Yeah. Well, and also I want to say that we are formulating a new nootropic, which John took right before he wrote all that stuff out.
What is a nootropic?
Absolutely. Dude, nootropics are kind of like, okay, the most highly prescribed prescription drug is Adderall, right?
Okay.
It's a major problem throughout colleges, everywhere. It's kind of like
Way crazier than I thought. Like I couldn't believe when almost every one of these kids said they've either taken it.
No,
or
it's for athletes too.
yeah.
athletes take it
use
for
it for
focus. I
steroid,
mean, baseball players are famous for taking greenies. It's basically amphetamine. Helps
I
you
understand
focus.
amphetamine, yeah.
So nootropics are kind of naturally occurring herbs and all that stuff that are combined to activate like cognitive enhancement.
Okay.
So it's natural, and it does not give you a bang like
It's not
Adderall
like
does,
caffeine either.
but it is a great way to get the hell off that shit. And if you're at work, if you're dragging, not just bang caffeine all day, take something that actually helps you dial in and focus, and it does. It's a straight up cognitive enhancer.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So
Well-
we created one.
No, so one, you all created one. We'll put it on the market, put that motherfucker for sale,
Yeah.
and let's see if it works. And it obviously works, but
It works.
It works. John
Yeah,
wrote
yeah.
1,000
Hey.
things on the fucking
Hey.
no, but
chalkboard.
so we got to get that into a weekly meeting, and bring some weekly meeting drivers to talk about those threats. So I did it yesterday. So
Yeah.
I did it yesterday, and I love our team of people so much because I've gotten them on a schedule of texting me at 5 in the morning.
Okay.
So 5:30 in the morning and through the morning, and through the entire day, they're working, and we're addressing low performers. We're addressing our threats. We're addressing the things that need to be addressed that makes us operate more efficiently, drives behavior, but then weeds out the people, not your personality, weeds out the people who aren't attacking what it is that we're trying to do. And so it's more about, everything that we do is based upon facts. And that's what I never was there, because you know how somebody can not be doing something and you can have an uneasy feeling about them, right?
Yes, I have that a lot.
And so I would mess up before, and I would be like, man, there's so much about this person. But you take yourself out of it when you say, okay, did you accomplish this? And then at that point, it's easy. And for the listener, I just put my hands up. So I see a camera, and obviously everybody won't be able to see this audibly, but I put my hands up in the form of a list. And if you didn't accomplish 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6, and we can let that be the metric or the measuring tool on why you need to get out of here or why you need to get written up. It's just it's
Makes
great.
it simple.
It makes it very simple, and it makes it impersonable. But then it's also giving us a chance of just making so many inter-office battles between people. Because anytime you have a bunch of people, you're going to have.
It's about like elimination of opinion.
Yes.
And
elimination of opinion. Yes.
Yeah, just going to a system, and it's like, whoa, I don't need to get upset. You don't need to. It's either done or it's not.
It's either done, brother. Listen to me. It's either
pretty much
done.
black and white right there.
And not knowing how to do that, you can get into a bunch of like, I don't like you, you don't like me's, and not me per se, but people internally can get into a bunch of like opinions on people and feelings on people when it's all about the facts. Did you do your job or not? If you did your job, there's no reason to talk to you. If you didn't do your job, well, we can address that.
That's why they say silence is golden.
Yeah, I got you.
Silence and execution.
I remember, when I used to run Muscle Farm's budget, I had partners, and they were, why aren't they calling? Why aren't they calling? I said, we don't want them to fucking call.
No,
because when they're silent, we're getting paid, and everything's operating. So that means we're doing our fucking job.
If I'm calling, that's because it ain't happening the right way. And I didn't call that often, John.
No, I actually called you more.
You did call me more.
Typically when you
try to get some more money.
There we go. Nootropics, motherfucker.
Yeah. What? No, it's good. John, talk about what you and Alex spoke about and about the topic, and we can riff on. I think it'll be cool.
Yeah. So when you're born, when anybody is born, they're naturally born without limits mentally, without creativity. I'm sorry, with creativity, because they have not gone through life experiences. They have not been taught by parents. They have not been taught by teachers. They have not been influenced by friends. So when you're young, you're at the height of your creativity, because nothing is wrong, nothing is out of bounds, and there are no rules when it comes to creating. As we age, we have more and more voices, and the voices in our head dictate kind of what we do, and they can make us
fuck that voice.
Yeah, well, it could be your friend or what your brother said or what your girlfriend said, and it draws back that natural creativity that we were born with. And if you let that happen, see, because entrepreneurs, I believe, are the outliers on that. I think we are the ones that put up kind of like a force field, literally, so that can't be penetrated, because we have to cherish that. Without that, we are not creating. We're not doing that. So I just think it's a really good topic, because a lot of people, they're lost. They get lost on their decision making. Why am I doing this? I'm going to do it because this person does it this way. That they're the best at it, so I should. No. Do it your way, or else you're just a me too, right? We talked about that a lot in business. So with that setting the stage, I think the goal of today's podcast would be to kind of allow people to tap back into that creativity that they had when they were younger that maybe got lost along the way.
Yeah, I wonder where does it, is it like, how does it get so closed down so fast?
I think it's easy. Just if you think about economics, our world is driven on economics and where people fit in regards to a workforce. And so a lot of our education is systematically structured to get John to a place where he's an engineer or this or that. He's a label, you know what I'm saying? So I'm driving John's behavior. And so society doesn't foster entrepreneurs. Society doesn't foster, or our schooling system, not society, our schooling systems traditionally haven't probably changed in 30 or 40 years.
It's
You know
like
what I'm
the
saying?
drone mentality.
Yeah, and so take your core classes. After you get to your core classes, establish what you want to do in high school. Just think about this: you put so much pressure on a kid who's 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 years old to say, "Hey, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life," and you fucking lived with your mother for 18 years. You know what I'm saying? And when you just conceptually think about it, you don't even know what you want to do. You have an idea of what you want to do, but that is how you become to get on like the conveyor belt mentality and said, "Hey, I have to do I have to do something, and so I have to put myself in this box." And so you become literally, a culmination of what you hear, listen to, think, the whole nine. And so if Jeremy and Jacob are constantly consuming just this direct information, you will become that. And so I can see how that innocence as a kid is left. And so you don't have any responsibilities as a kid. You just live, this freedom. And so as an entrepreneur, you get back to that space where you're fighting to get back to that space where say, okay, let me just create the life that I want to live. And so you don't have a lot of supportive structures in our environment that say, okay, let me help you to support the life that you want. You know what I'm saying? And I guess that's the challenge, to get to that space and to grow your idea. And then, like we talked about last podcast, to build that into a business, to essentially get people who come from the academia world to help to sustain your idea. You know what I'm saying? Because you have to build it into a real business at some point. I think the entrepreneur is the guy who brings the idea and the will to want to make it happen. And then you need, but it's not to dismiss those other pieces. You need people who have those skills and interests inside of those things. Or it would just be John and Cory.
Yeah.
Say if you don't have those pieces to make this happen, fuck, what y'all gonna do? You hang out all day? You know what I'm saying? I don't know.
I think it's that it's crazy because I look at my kids because they're all young, right? And already Alex is starting to be influenced at 7th grade compared to 2 years ago when he was making videos and doing stuff where he didn't care. Now he cares.
Say it one more time.
It's already, so like Alex was making videos. Alex has 13,000 followers on Musical.ly,
okay,
which is crazy, right?
I know Musical.ly is,
all right, so Musical.ly, but as he hit 7th grade, it became not cool. But here's why it became not cool, right? It's not cool because most of the people he kicks it with can't do it. So what happens is it switched from, this is what I just observed, right? And I've talked to him about it, but I mean.
But kids' parents won't let them.
No. The kids aren't smooth or good at it, like talent-wise.
Oh.
And so it became from, they tried it, couldn't do it. AG's good at it, not amazing, but he's good. He's solid. And it's normal, kind of, because he sees what we do, right? That's not that. Most of these kids' parents aren't even on social media.
Yeah.
So what I saw was, because I was on there for a little while paying attention to what he's doing, I would see his friends come through, and you could see that they was struggling, right? Because of confidence, because of they just don't ever see this stuff. AG's boom, boom, boom's throwing it out on his Twitter, like, because of our friends too, whatever it is. And it's like, then it was like, yeah, Dad, no one really thinks it's cool. I'm like, but they're not even paying attention. You should still do it because I know creatively you like it. But at this point, from
Fuck what
fifth,
they think.
well,
Yeah,
exactly.
it's not
But that's easier said than done, especially when you never experienced it before.
Of course, for a young kid.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Yes,
Because
yes.
we didn't have the same kind of things like this. It was a little different. I mean, you still had local pressure, like in your school or whatever. But either way, it's like, so between 5th and 7th grade, I can already see how it's starting to close it down. Now, the overarching that you can do anything you want, I still think he believes in because he sees me do it every day.
But you see in that segment how your
I see it
creativity
already.
can be shut down.
So
Got it. Already happening.
yeah, I mean, I'll give
Does
you.
that make sense?
It totally makes sense, and I'll use myself as an example. And I always tell people I don't give a fuck what they say about this. When I have free time, I play video games. I love video games.
Yeah.
I think video games are, everyone will watch a movie.
What's your favorite video game, John?
Probably God of War, the new one. It's
Yes.
amazing.
I don't know.
10.0 masterpiece.
Is it really?
Yeah, go to
I like it.
IGN.com.
I just
check it
figure there's some people on
out.
here that
The Last of Us as well is very strong.
All right.
It's a very strong game. It's very emotional.
It's a
very
entirely
emotional.
different.
But
like,
here's the
realm.
thing:
I don't
you're
even
you're,
understand.
you're controlling your own decisions, right?
Sure.
When you're playing video games, because they're not linear anymore.
Yeah, true. It's not
Okay.
Mario. It's not Super Mario.
Right,
That's
so-
the one I understand.
So if you choose to pop someone in the head, the police are going to come after you.
Okay.
Or if you leave the building, the police aren't going to come after you if you don't pop them in the head. So creatively, I never had someone say, "Oh, you're in your 30s, you play video games, you're a dork," which people will try to joke, and I'll just say, "Fuck you, I love video games."
Yeah.
Right? Most people. Straight up. No, I mean, but most people would be like, "Oh, are girls gonna think I'm stupid?" I like if I met a girl on the first day, I like the first 2 things I tell them is I'm an ex-drug addict and I play video games. You know, most people would be like, "I swear to God." I swear to God.
absolutely believe you.
Swear to God.
Hold on.
And listen, my success
Hold
rate
on.
is fucking money.
Johnny,
Okay.
don't. Hold on. No, it's not.
How the fuck did you miss that one, Jeremy?
Hit monitor off, just so it doesn't do that no more. All right.
Oh,
Okay.
Oh my
Keep going.
God.
Sorry.
So your success rate is obvious.
I can't hear you.
Yeah, I can't hear.
As long as it's recording, I can.
It's still recording.
I just take my ear up.
Gotcha. So we should have left it on. Can we turn it on?
I can just flip my
Yeah.
ear up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for all the listeners that can hear this, we have a
It's okay.
boy named Jeremy that's about to lose his job. So I think
It's okay.
his demeanor might change real quick. 'cause
Here we
I
go.
can't hear myself.
All right, you're good.
No.
So hold on.
We
I
love you,
want to hear
Jeremy.
about the success rate of how you start off with these.
Sure.
Let's start. Let's
Sure.
Let's go over that one more time.
Absolutely.
First thing you tell a female.
When I meet them is that I'm an ex-drug addict and that I play video games.
Love it.
Because you know what?
Get it all on the table.
Because you know what? I feel like if you sell someone a fake bill of goods, you're a fucking scumbag.
Yeah.
Right? So how many people have you met intimately that say, "Oh, this, oh that, da 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 da," and then 5 months in, you're like, "Hey, the narrative you told me is like a 180."
Yeah.
So do you would you say that for the purpose of
Why are you smiling so much, Reese?
he's a silly motherfucker, man. Hey, this dude is a silly motherfucker, right?
Yeah.
I think he's funny because he's serious all the
I'm
time.
dead serious.
Dead serious.
Like, but I just and for the listener, so I'm gonna act like they can't see it on audio. For the listener, if you ever hung around Johnny Fosco, motherfucker, this motherfucker got a serious face on, and he'll say some of the funniest shit. It was funny to me, but I'm asking for the purpose of hold on. So let me get my thoughts together. Are you leading with that information because you know that would in society that information would be looked up on as
It would push
indifferent?
him away. It
You
would
feel where I'm
push him
coming from?
away.
Do I lead with the perceived worst part of me or things that,
I don't think it's the worst part of me though.
yeah, but so that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But am I consciously aware that this societally, if that's the word, because we always
Yeah.
make up fucking words on the show,
Yeah.
is that play? Do you lead with that because you think that somebody would think that that's a bad part, and you're saying like, hey, I embrace the shit. This is who I am.
Yeah, it's like a test.
You hear where I'm coming from?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a test because how normal and how easy would it be to not bring up things like that and say, oh yeah, I got this job, I run this business, and they start counting money in their head and this and that. It's like, okay, that would make it, but that's not who I am. That's what I do.
Mm-hmm.
So I take no shame in who I am because I choose who I am. Nobody else does. So if someone wants to laugh at me playing video games, I could say, well, then I'll turn around on them and be like, hey, what do you do for work? You know what I'm saying? Like you think that, okay, you know what I'm saying? And it's like I'll clown. It's not about my ego, but it's just about that's me. That
You
really
like video
is
games.
me.
You like video games.
I'll say something to this, and I'll just put it in context, and maybe you can agree, disagree, however you feel, right?
Sure.
I think that when you reach a place of, I think a lot of people's lives are driven off of, what do I got to do to take care of myself, and it becomes about the things and the experiences that you want to have to make you happy. And then from there, I think once you do get money or some sort of financial security, I've come to realize that that's the reason why yoga's in my life. So somebody can look at yoga as something different, but I think like once you become financially, I don't want to say financially secure because I don't feel like I'm even financially secure. I feel like I feel things are solid.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? So I
Sure.
look for things to make me happy, ways to express myself. Like even how you may just care about different food. I like how food tastes now. Like I'm real picky about, not super picky, but I enjoy food differently than what I did when I didn't have any money. So it has a different category in my brain. But just like I never understood golf, but I see now when people who are semi-successful in their world. I see why they go play golf, because this is my outlet. This is my release or a way to enjoy myself. So I can see how knowing you now and knowing how your life is set up and knowing how business is set up and knowing, like, you know, how max effort and whatever else that you have going on, I can see that being solid.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's your release.
Video games make me happy. This is what I enjoy doing. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
I think that I would have a different opinion on it. Not a different opinion on it, but I would look at it different for the guy who spent a bunch of time. I would have an opinion on it naturally. Of the guy who spent a tremendous amount of time playing video games, who didn't have their thing.
Who didn't build nothing.
You know?
Yeah, so that's the one
So
thing.
that's what most people probably would run to.
I think
is
they
like,
affiliate and associate
Yeah.
the video game guys, the guy who never left his mother's house or his basement.
Right.
And
And that couldn't be more wrong, because the way I'll say it is,
it's a real
video
business now.
games is a luxury. So I love them, but I probably spend maybe an hour and a half a month playing them.
Yeah, so
Oh, wow.
so here we go. So you take the story the other day, and I don't like to date information, but I seen a story. You can probably Google it now on Twitter or wherever. Google
it on Twitter.
Google it on Twitter, right?
I'll try that later. But go ahead.
Let's do
but-
that.
But you can search it on Twitter, and there was a 30-year-old guy who didn't want to leave his parents' house. Y'all see that story? So this was on Twitter. You know, I looked on Twitter. It was a 30-year-old guy, and you know, pick it up on one of your phones. 30-year-old guy who refused to leave his parents' house because he said he just didn't want to do it, and they filed. I don't want this to become the daily news, but they filed eviction notices and things like that. He just was like, I'm cool. Like, you're not kicking me out of here. I'm fine. I have a kid. I'm not going anywhere, and this is my residence.
He's like refusing to leave.
Parents said, we'll give you money, we'll pay for your own place, but you have to get out into the world. And he's like, no, I got a right to be here. I'm staying here, and I'm living in the basement. And they was like, no, dude, get out of here. And that's what I would associate with a guy playing video games. And I think that may be society. And so to those who do play video games and that's not their lives, apologize if I do come off offensive, but I think most people would think that.
The one, and I agree with
That
you 100%.
aren't in the video games.
And but
'Cause
here,
that's how I used to feel too.
sure.
Till I realized it's a massive business, not only making the video games but the esports, and I just know it's a whole different.
So
animal
here's the
now.
thing. Number one, video games now is 3 times the size of the movie business as a whole on an annual basis. 3 times the size.
I didn't know
So
that.
there's billionaires, right, in the movie business. 3 times the size at this
video
point.
games.
Video games.
I
Huge.
don't know
Mo.
video games that big.
Yep. So when Call of Duty comes out, they make $1 billion in about an hour. Upon
Call of
release.
Duty.
Yeah, in about an hour.
Just from a business and then go on. Is it because you can't duplicate video games? So you know how you can copy a movie? Can you copy video games?
Can you bootleg it?
Can you
I mean,
you bootleg?
Call of Duty.
I don't think you can the whole thing. No, I mean there's some hackers that can, because you can download them from like the PlayStation Store and get digital copies as opposed to physical copies. So I'm sure there's some super hackers who could.
Got you.
But that's not why. It's because all the CGI you see in movies that make like movies like Avatar and Avengers like look amazing. Well, the graphics are in video games now too. So when you can control something that literally looks real, if you play NBA 2K18, it looks like my mom walked in and she's like, "Oh, what basketball game's on?" She thought it was, a real basketball.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it's that real. And then the second part of it outside of the business is, and I don't want to go too deep on video games, is that a lot of people who were ridiculed, who may not, get out there in the business world, esports is the fastest growing sport in the world.
What is esports? I don't even know.
Exactly. So esports is a team
Crazy.
of 7 people who play video games. They're professional video game players.
50,000 people, 100,000 people online or in venues to watch them.
In
play
South
video games.
Korea, they fill up arenas with the biggest bands in the world, like it looks like the Olympics.
Yeah.
80,000 people will come and watch a screen to watch 2 teams, 7 and 7, play each other in a video game.
In a video game.
In
So,
a
like,
fucking video game.
Yankees, Jerry Jones, they all are starting to have
Jerry Jones has
ownership
bought
in
esports teams, A-Rod esports teams,
Yep.
Rick Fox esports team, all the smart VC money,
Yep.
esports right now. That's where it's going, because you could buy a team.
Esports.
Yep, and they
Yes.
train these dudes like athletes. So they have like training sessions. Long story short, 5 years ago, when I had the sports.
Excuse me. So what games do they play?
Yeah. So that's a great question. So it all started with a game called like League of Legends, and it's this weird. I don't want to call it weird because I don't play it. It's like a computer game where you like power up players, and you basically got to get strong enough to make an assault on another team, and they either win or you win, and it's like, but it takes a lot of time to build up, and I guess people watched it, right? So now, okay, ESPN has esports programming. TNT, if you're watching the NBA, they have E-Leagues. This shit's on TV. And more than that, the players. There are players now. There's many of them that have base salaries of $10 million plus.
Yeah, crazy.
To play video games. And that doesn't include prize money. They get prize money for winning tournaments. These are like, Maurice buys a team. He's like, I got to find the 7 best dudes that are free agents, or I got to outbid another team to get them if they're not under contract.
Like any other league.
Yep. And then they play this game, and then the winner of the tournament gets like $2 million, and they're selling out tickets everywhere they go.
Did y'all know this?
Fastest growing sport in the world.
I've never even heard of this shit.
Yeah.
You should Google it. There's a guy in Columbus that came to my gym that lost a bunch of weight, and he started an esports team. He was a player, and he's in one of the secondary leagues. His team's worth like $5 million. And he got like seven dudes in a house out in LA. Same as like the Ultimate Fighter house. Same shit, dude. Ain't no different.
Yep.
But they're like training for endurance to play.
Oh,
I
dude,
know
it's
trippy,
wild.
dude.
It's wild.
It's trippy.
Listen to me. So
that goes to show. That goes to
Yeah,
show that
yeah.
it's like, kind of coming back to the topic though, that
creativity lives.
You got it.
So take a guess on what's going through my head as I'm hearing this shit.
Oh, I know, you're mind blown right now.
What do you think? Name the top 3 things that came to my head.
Please.
Here you go. I said brothers don't know about this shit.
Well, I'll tell you what they do, because on a lot of the teams, the best like NBA players, the best Madden players, a lot of brothers. Yeah.
Well, I guess my closed ass. I'm closed off to the world.
Yeah.
So I've never.
You're using Google on Twitter.
That could be it,
brother.
Yeah.
But it's a whole nother animal.
But I guess it feeds to your point that just people just not thinking inside of a box or systematically.
Everyone's a kid.
To be honest with you, everybody's a kid, and I don't I guess you can classify kid as just standing that spirit.
Absolutely.
So
Yes.
I think that's when I want to ask this openly. Is that when people say get to your passion? I guess when you're a kid, you're searching for your smile. You're trying to go do what's fun. And then I guess as an adult, can I monetize what I believe is fun? Because what is professional sports? You know what I'm saying? What is business at large? Comes with a lot of responsibility and everything else. But if you're having fun doing it, you know what I'm saying? Some people just have fun doing shit.
I think that's exactly what it is. I think that we're fighting daily to keep it. Meaning like that's what we're fighting against, like groups of people. You're fighting against society. You're fighting against this, that, or whatever, just to keep that like center point of this is just like, I'm not going to let it be closed down.
Right.
I think that it just gets closed down. So that's why when people talk about people are already dead, they're just walking around.
Right.
That's
mentally
what
dead.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was fighting something. This has nothing to do with nothing.
Go ahead.
But it has something to do with shutting something down.
Okay.
So of course I've been going. So for the listener, the property I was telling my personal business because that's fucking how it goes. The property that I was in, I got into it in 2012. And to make a long story short,
I remember helping you move in. It was on 30 for 30.
Shit,
Remember?
Cory did help me. Cory helped me move in, right?
We were filming the 30. Well, you
30,
were filming the 30-30. I was just in it. And then they
Sure,
cut me out, but that's what I forgot.
Sure fucking did. And to make a long story short, I'm forced to get into the housing market, and a few things from that. Being a convicted felon, I can't just go to a housing complex and say, "Hey, here's my application. Let me go get a rental property." Because in my head, I would love to just go put my application in, put my name on it, and go get a rental property because I don't want to. I'm like this guy. I don't want to purchase a home. So I don't want to do it at all. I would rather put my money into an investment and let the investment pay for the house later on. But that's a whole different story. So as I'm looking, and I'm kind of forced to look based upon the circumstances.
Is it easier for you to buy, Reese? Like
It-
just because you have the money down, they can't deny that type of stuff. Like from your
That's really that's the only option.
okay.
It's
Cool.
like it's two
That's what I
options,
figured.
right? Being a convicted felon, you're either going to buy from a private owner who has a rental house in the hood.
Yeah,
That's not an option. I'm not going
like
to
a
live
land
in,
contract
I'm not,
or something.
no,
Yeah.
but I'm not going to live in anybody's hood.
No.
Or it's either you go look for a house,
Yeah.
and then as you go look for a house, you start to ask yourself like, how long am I going to live here? Is this where I want to start my place? Is this where I want to end? Like, I'm 34. Do I really feel like fucking moving again? You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
My daughter's, all those.
You gotta find your compound.
You got to find your compound. So then you have to ask yourself. So then I caught myself. I said, okay, do I want this or do I want that? Am I settling for this? But my heart says this, but then am I being greedy and saying I want this, or is this just my creative space and this is how I feel? And so I'm fighting out of my own brain to say,
Fuck yeah.
you hear where I'm coming from?
Oh, it's
like,
a home
It's a home.
with
and
a big price tag.
yeah, but
I was trying to find a spot I was gonna be at for 20.
but I'm doing that. But then I'm saying, but does a price tag even matter? It's relative, right? So I said, so as I'm even thinking about this, I said this can't be big to me. This price that I want to stay because,
Sure.
like my what I want, the valuation, this can't be a big deal.
Sure.
And so, am I saying that I choose to settle and say, I'm only going to work this hard for this, or I drive down the street, I drive past New Albany, right, and I see these homes in New Albany, and I said in their mind, they fix it in their brains that they were going to do more to live like this, right?
Sure.
So I had to fix in my brain when I rode down the street. I said, no, I really don't want this house over here. I want this house right here.
Right.
And not because I'm greedy, but this is how I envision myself wanting to live.
Sure.
Not being greedy, but this is how I want. So to shift perspective, and I told myself, I said, I need to go do more.
Right.
I need to go do more to make sure I live like this, not like I'm living like this now. Let me cut up every penny I have and alter my life just to live like this. And
Right.
so making sure that I'm not halting my own ambition, this is what I want. You know what I'm saying? And
Sure.
this isn't a like some societal standard, but I always told you, I said, hey man, I think when the first time I went to Cory's house, I didn't care nothing about the house. I cared about the space that
The
he had.
space.
You know what I'm saying?
It's the 5 acres, dude. It just
Listen
makes
to
you
me.
breathe.
So, you get older, you get somewhat successful, you start to care about your privacy more and to be able to stretch out, like, because, you can't go do everything everywhere, or you don't always want to be at Easton or Polaris or these social functions. You want to invite people over to you and host them and be around them and do stuff like that, if that's what you choose to do. And so my mind start going there, and then I'll start thinking about my daughter getting older, and then I'm starting to think like, okay, you can. I just started thinking about a whole bunch of other stuff. But the point of what I was saying was that I didn't want to lose just my own aspirations and ambitions to think that what I can accomplish and what I can do, and I didn't want to lose that myself. And so I guess that's what I was trying to say.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I think to me it's a motivator. It's like if
Hell
you
yeah.
envision yourself in a place like that, you're on a mission, and ain't a damn thing stopping you. Go get what you want.
But there we go. Why settle for less than what you want out of life? Like if
Don't settle.
If I'm preaching on this podcast, anything's possible.
That's
if
a
I'm
closed
preaching,
down.
but let's say if we're preaching,
Yeah.
you can make something happen, delayed gratification, and maybe I can't have it next week. Maybe this forces me to push a little bit more, right?
Right.
But that's what you got to do,
Is it-
motherfucker.
If you're doing it for the right reasons, if you're
you're
doing it to keep up with the Joneses and to be like, hey, I want everyone to know that Maurice Claret is back. He's got the Reds. If you're doing it for that, there's bullshit, and it's gonna be hard to fulfill.
So so I got a few things. So I want to own a coffee shop one day. That's like that's something I want to do because I love coffee, and I want to go through the process. I would probably have people ship me beans and ship me coffee. I don't want to get on a fucking plane and go down there. I don't want
Right.
that story. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, oh, I'm going to Africa.
I'm going to Colombia.
Yeah, I'm going to Colombia. Yeah, like I don't want to.
I don't know if you're gonna find any coffee in Africa, but I'm just saying, Mo.
No, but I have a dream. It's a silly dream
That's
to
cool.
me. I want a real an entire gym that I can go work out in and inside of what I do. Now that I do yoga, I love to go do yoga inside of the property, right? I told you about this the other day. Ashley, she does shirts and screen
Right.
print and all that stuff. I would love for her, like right now, the shit's in our kitchen, in our living room, in our dining room.
Right.
And so you have my office, her
I
deal,
like that you guys are hustling like that.
hustling,
still,
right?
bro.
Listen
Right.
to me.
There's just love for that, bro.
But you don't want to come see my house. I can't have
That's why you need more space,
our
Mo.
house is a workstation. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so and you start to think about this and how much time do I spend going to the gym? How much time do we spend running back and forth to Heritage, to grab shirts? And so how much of this stuff could you buy and put in your house? If I was leasing a place for her to do this out of, you're probably giving somebody $2,000, $2,500 to do this. You can put that stuff and that equity goes directly into your property. You know what I'm saying? So you're starting to think about lifestyle,
That big
right?
ass pole barn right beside your house.
That's what
That's what I'm about to build.
That's exact. But the house I'm looking at has this. You know what I'm saying? And so you can have an upstairs for what you do. You can have a downstairs for what you do. And so now you're able to spend time. Now these are things that you all probably don't know nothing about. So not that you need your own property, but I would love to integrate just having normal family functions.
I think you're making the
That's cool.
case
Yeah.
for yourself as
Yeah.
to why you need to. Not like you're trying to, but I
No.
think as you're talking through it, it makes immense sense
E-
that you need to be in that place you want to be, even if it's above.
But is it
what you
is it
think.
really above what you can handle though, Mo?
No,
So
but
that's
like this,
that's my
so-
point. I don't
so-
think I knew it wasn't.
So it's just grinding more now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's delayed gratification. So
How much you supposed
But it's
to delay?
pressure,
How much
though.
you supposed to delay it though?
how much they're supposed to delay it? It's all a numbers game.
Yeah.
Like literally, it's all a numbers game. So I'm
You're
asking
so
myself-
conservative since you came out of incarceration.
Yeah,
Mo,
but I'm
that
so
it's like when
I'm
is it time to go?
I need so my whole life whenever I make a decision, everything has to be easy yes.
Yeah.
If I walk into a store, if I go see those shoes at Foot Locker, if I have to think twice about them and not from the price tag, but just that's easy yes. You know what I'm saying?
Dude.
My whole life, if I have to even shopping for a car,
Your assets
dude.
should be paying for the liability. You ain't even thinking about it.
period.
Yeah,
Right.
I know.
So
I know that's where you're going.
I never wanted to purchase a home first.
Yeah.
My whole thing was to build a business and purchase investment properties to pay for something. So I don't even have to think about it. Easy yeses. The fact that I have to
Easy
reroute
yes.
it,
I like it.
the fact that I have to reroute the process and pay for a house and then go back and get the assets that to take care of the house. It's a little
That upsets your brain.
but you don't get a chance to choose what adversity comes to you.
Yeah, of course.
You know what I'm saying? You have to deal
I
with
hope you adversely have to go buy the house that.
No,
I think you
but-
just- I
But
think
but the house is an investment property, and you're getting double bang for your buck because everything you do, everything you love, all your life experiences are taking place there. So
yes.
it's maintaining equity. It will build, and all these things that you just spoke about will live there. What value does that have? That has that
Priceless.
exactly.
That's priceless.
Priceless.
The entertainment of having the spot to entertain. I mean, I had like 100 people over for the fights the one time, and it didn't just the areas and to be able to do that kind of stuff. And yeah, it's a little stressful to have a lot going on, but it's like to be able to do that with family and friends is unbelievable.
But
Mo.
brother, listen to me. But one thing, you build equity, you build a property for your family to grow up in. I put like this. Just think about this. My daughter's 11, and I was having a conversation with her about. I said, I'm gonna die one day. 11. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like,
Yeah, that's true.
I went to
Well,
go pick,
yeah, of
I went to go
course.
pick her up from school, and so she was
And
talking.
just dropped that on her when she got in the car.
Yeah, so
Hey.
that's what we were doing. We were talking about. She was like, "So, Dad, where you at with the housing process?" And I was like, "This is not just buying a house." I say, I was talking to her. I said, you build equity into a house. I was explaining to her what equity was, and I said, and I'm telling you, if anybody can do it, I know we've gotten a little bit off topic with the original topic,
I think
but
we're a lot off of it, but it
yeah,
don't matter
but
at
it
this
doesn't
point.
matter, right?
Yeah.
So when I learned about what the redlining programming was, and it was, I think we talked about this before. The redlining program essentially, when the housing market became to what it is, and they wanted to separate basically like inner city blacks from whites. That's what they did. They drew a thing that was called the redlining programming, where banks and financial institutions can only finance white people for housing. But they say
That's
this
like
is
a real program.
this
or was?
happened like in the 30s, in the 40s. It happened for like
Oh.
20 years, right?
Okay.
This is just reality. Like,
Right.
so
Yeah.
who
Yeah.
gives a shit, right?
Yeah.
But what they said it did, it helped people to establish life insurance, build equity in the properties, and people who were renting were constantly on a hamster wheel, just basically spending their money, right? But when I die, I'm giving my wealth to my kid.
Of course.
And so you do this over 40 years, you know what I'm saying? You got to figure, like, when the Civil Rights Act and all that shit happened, you do this for over 40 years. It happened, like, in the fucking 60s when they finally ended it and were able to finance people who were black with money. They said, you know, these generations of wealth or the process of building wealth has started up. You know what I'm saying?
Makes sense.
So now I'm starting a process my mother never started. My father never started. You know what I'm saying?
It's the generational stuff.
Different purpose for buying a house from me. So now I'm talking to my daughter, hey, you know, when I die, you know, I want you to have a life insurance program that your father put on me, that you'll put on your mother, right? I want you to have a piece of property that builds equity into it, these investment properties. And so, like, you know, so to her friends, their friends' fathers look different. Their friends' fathers and mothers look different. How they build their lives different. So I'm trying to get her to wrap her brain around just like, yo, we're behind, not behind because it's not like a race, but we're not there yet. I'm building these things so you can take and build on. I even told her about this. I say, you're only going to these schools to get a foundation of discipline, right? And more than likely, I tell her, you know, you will probably step into this stuff. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not going to send you to a shitty school system so you don't have the wherewithal to maintain. But I say, go do what you want to do, but please believe at some point when it's time for me to die, I have one kid. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You will have to understand what the hell is going on over here so you can continue to make it grow. So I just want her to wrap her mind around that. Whether you want to say, hey, I love the red zone, I want to continue to grow, let me have somebody else manage it, or I want to run it myself, or I want to sell it, at least have an idea of what the hell's going on.
You're thinking about buying a house as like a generational thing,
100%,
not as just buying a house.
100%.
I would say most people probably don't think that way.
100%. And to buy, and just basically buy a lifestyle, but to care about her future. And I feel like when you get there, when you start to think about other people, it becomes more motivating, right?
No question.
Because, you know, John can say, Reese, come sleep on my couch. I'm like, fuck it, let's go.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Put me over in this room as long as we stay out each other's way. A man can live how he wants to, but we start to think about your family, what you're leaving for your family, and how you want them set up. And
I think about experience too, just how I want the experience to be, how I want because at some point, like, you know, they're grown and done, and that's what they remember. It's like that. That's why I'm making baseball fields in my yard and football fields and do all these things, because it's experience based.
But I think that's a misconception too. Yes and no. I think that's a misconception because I look at the relationship what I have with my mother now, and your kids will never leave that property.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like it just even how I'm thinking. Well, I'm having conversations not to be having with Ashley, right? So we think about this. So and I don't know how it was in either youth households, right? And this is really off topic, but it's just talk amongst people, and especially in inner cities. I'll say this. I won't even say black. I'll say inner cities because you have poor white, poor black, and poor black, poor white, poor Hispanic people. At 18, we're taught to push motherfuckers out the house. You know what I'm saying? Inner city communities, 18, I'm fucking boating. And you don't realize how that fucks a kid up.
The parents are taught that,
man,
because of the expense.
So because of the expense, and I just want you out of my house, right? But there's a pride even for people in the inner city. I'm 18. I'm going to live on my own. I'm going to make it on my own. There's this as much as I love, like I'm looking at Tupac, as much as I love like the me against the world mentality, I think to some degree it was embraced. It had its deficiencies, you know what I'm saying? And so you feel like it's all about me. I got to make it by myself. Everybody's against me. You can take it out of context. How he had made the song and what he was saying was different than how it was interpreted by people, right? It's not you against the world, or it shouldn't be that way. You know,
I felt the same way.
Yeah.
I don't know how you felt, Johnny.
Yeah, I mean, at times I think with lower levels of maturity and just trying to make it, yes.
Yeah.
But just think about this. So
yeah, motherfucker, I'm packing my Dodge Omni up. I'm going to get it.
But I'm going to get it. So I tell my daughter already, you're not even allowed to leave until you save some money. Yeah. You're not allowed to leave until you got your credit right. I'm not about to put you on a hamster wheel in the world where either you're dependent on a man or depending on somebody else while you're starting. I'm going to at least give you a starter kit, or I'm not going to give it to you. You're going to build and not have to worry about the overhead and all of that before you go out.
Yeah, I mean, here's what I'll tell you. What keeps going over in my head is like, I got in a fight with my father right when I turned 21. So it was either like right at 20 or 21, either way. And I had about 10G in my checking account, and I went and I bought my first place. And I was 21 years old, and I still own it to this day. And I've bought many other properties since then, and it's the best thing I ever did because it was overwhelming. It was scary, but I had to make it work. I almost lost it. I felt what it's like to not work hard enough to maintain it, and then I got it back through hard work. So it's like when you take on something that's yours, that you own, if you're a go-getter, there is no other option. You have to keep it, and then once you keep it and you figure out, oh, this is how I keep it and keep building, then you know the process. So it's like, yeah, I'm gonna go buy this one, I'm gonna go buy this one, and then you get into that investment property mentality because you're like, it's just replicating the process. So it's overwhelming, even if the money isn't over your head, it's overwhelming because it's a huge responsibility. It's not just money, it's a fucking huge responsibility. It's like, oh, heating, air conditioning, the grass, the this, the that, the this. But at the end of the day, they're just like in business, there's solutions for everything.
Yes.
And if we pull our emotion out of it and just look at it objectively, it's like, okay, can I afford it? Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay, we'll do it like this. And then you just do it, and then you're like, I know how to own a home. And then it just takes.
Let me ask you this, Mo.
Others.
Is it because, no one in your family's probably bought something like this?
Yeah.
Is it feel uncomfortable because you are like, I mean, it's about that you've experienced it from others.
Yes.
You know what I mean? But it's not been yours.
Experience it from others has not been mine, but the big.
You're not scared.
No. There's lifestyle.
But I want to ask you, are you not scared? Because obviously I heard Cory say conservative nature, and I have the same. But I think there's a point where, especially when someone who works as hard as you do and is doing what you're doing, where conservative, is it conservatism or is there some fear a little bit down there that this is a little different for me? And I say it's conservatism because I want to make my money go as far, but am I a little bit afraid of it? I mean,
but that's what forces me to say, hey, so I don't experience that feeling. Let me go work more.
Sure.
And let me make this an easy yes. So I don't like any situation that. So I enjoy my mental health and being at peace and being easy so much, right, that I'm not about to consciously put myself in a situation that's going to cause any rudder,
right?
Or anything, right? So.
But it sounds like you just said that the property you were talking about, you can handle it.
No, so for me, like the property. Here we go. There was a property I looked at. I said, okay, damn, this is not what I really want, right? And so I had in my head like what I wanted to spend on the property, right? But then I looked at this and I was like, yeah, this is what I really want, but I didn't expect to spend that much. And so then I asked myself, okay, like, why didn't I expect to spend that much? It's just because I've never purchased a house outside of rental
categories.
It's new
of course.
I've never purchased something outside of rental properties. Rental properties, 20, 30, 40, 50 grand. That was the most I ever did. So when you're talking about making a large investment, so for me, I'm putting 25% down, right, on anything I got to put down.
You
right? Have to, right? So then you're like, okay, now it's like, okay, what could I be doing with that cash? How much cash could that make, off of doing X? And then, okay, how long will it take for me to recoup that cash to go make another investment, to go do this, right? And so now I'm asking myself, like, all right, you acting like a chump, Reese. You know what I'm saying? These are things I say to myself. Like, so if you're a big dog, I think, like, so if people meet me, I got like a lot of confidence, right? I'm like a humble person, but I think like, you want to be a player. I'm pretty sure there's things that you've done through your business life and Cory were things you had to show, like, are you a player?
Oh,
right? Are you, like, y'all know what I'm talking about?
Absolutely.
And we can probably name different experiences. And so if you want to be a player, you have to start to feel comfortable making choices about money.
Right.
And cool. And so since I'm uncomfortable, I know for a fact that it has to do with me making sure that the business is doing everything it does, right? And so the first place I run back to is like, not let me shrink. Okay, what do I have to do to drive more business? Like my folk, like
Mo, it's the same thing. So when I bought my crib 8 years ago, it was an easy decision because I could afford it, but I knew it was still a big boy decision,
us.
right?
But even,
So
even at that point, Cory, weren't you in a spot where it could be tough to afford?
Potentially, yeah, but I knew, but I never noticed it. So it wasn't as easy a decision as you want it to be right now,
Yes.
but it was probably similar. I'll say that. I knew I could cover it, but I still had to like, it pushed me more because I knew that's what I saw. I saw myself. I walked in and I said, I know there's some things I want to do here, the backyard. Like, I saw all of that, right? And it was like, this is my spot. This is the land. This is how I see myself. This is how I saw myself walking out of that trailer when I did pack my car up and leave. This is me. This is like, yeah, I've seen the stuff on TV, but this is what I could conceptualize for me. 100%. And then, hold on, I'm almost done. And then I was like, this will drive me harder because I got to make more, but I'm good if it just stays the same, but that's not what I'm about, right? And then it became not just like, that's still a liability because I know that's how you look at it, right? But
Well,
my
that's a
thing was,
fucking
how
cost.
fast can I turn it into an asset? How fast can I pay this motherfucker off?
So let me throw that in there. Do y'all understand? For me right now, just so I don't deal with that long-term fear, I've been talking to our guy Jeff,
Mm-hmm.
and I said I need to put this property on an accelerated payoff program.
Of course.
Whatever property I get, I say, can I pay this off within 5 years? Just so I'm not even worried about it. So
But
John
gotta
has
ask you.
John has different feelings about this.
I do because
That's like some OG shit. That's how I think too. But it's different sometimes.
I think about it differently because I see money working differently. The fear is driving that thought.
so play this to get to there. Absolutely.
But is it ever good to let a fear drive action?
Was this ever good? I don't know.
Yeah. So
Very thoughtful question.
Yeah, I mean that's why
I heard Maurice.
So here's what I'm thinking about
Yeah, I
is you said something a couple podcasts ago that we think very similarly, and you're like, oh, I don't trust nobody. I don't believe what anybody says. I'm 98%.
It's still
of that.
true.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. I'm not okay. So that's there's an emotional component to that, and with money is a sense of stability, right?
Yes.
And money on the sidelines makes everybody feel comfortable. Watching that balance go up, that's comfort.
Yes.
But is it stupid comfort? Because it ain't working for you.
So let's rewind the conversation. That's the reason I don't want a house. I would rather have.
Afraid to park the money.
Brother,
Ain't doing
listen to me.
nothing.
I would rather rent. Let me say this clearly. I would rather rent for as long as possible. Let my money go work. Let my money be invested. Let my money be invested into a business, small businesses, multiple investments. I would rather do that
Okay.
than to make the decision to just plunk down a shit ton of money that's doing absolutely nothing.
But is it doing nothing if it appreciates?
Yeah, the real estate
But
does go up.
the appreciation
Comes
on,
with costs.
yes. So
property
this
taxes.
is, here we,
New Albany
no, here
property
we go.
taxes are
Boom,
out of control.
Boom. So here
So
we
is
go.
Granville.
So people, and I think that should be broken down to people. Maybe that's a
Yeah,
real estate
people do
broker.
assume real estate's just like, oh yeah, I bought it. It went up this much.
So,
No.
but you've paid property tax for fucking 6 years.
Damn right.
You know what I'm saying? So you can buy, like, for those who don't know, you buy a property, but if you're in an affluent area, your fucking tax is 20, 30 grand, 15, 20, 30 grand.
Yeah.
You're paying that every year. So it's like you're paying a rental.
Even if your property's paid off, that's what people don't understand.
Even if your property is paid off, you are
Correct.
still paying
Correct.
$1,500, $2,000 every single year for the schools, the roads.
1,500, 2,000 is low.
Dude, I pay that in
Yeah.
a month.
in a month.
Mine's like $1,000 a month.
But you hear where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
So, and so when your property goes up, 40,000, or say you buy it for 500, you sell it
Sure.
for 800. You need to subtract the property tax that you've paid for those 5 years, and that's what you actually fucking made from the property.
Absolutely.
That's my view. That's
Sure.
That's
Still, yeah, it's cost.
But the one
absolutely.
the one thing that you got to ask yourself is, as you're thinking about this, if you do have a lot of cash, and I'm actually guilty of this right now. I have too much cash on the sidelines. So I'm kind of a hypocrite on this, but if you have cash on the sidelines and you're talking about I'd rather put it in investments than well, if it's not in investments and you're not putting it in a fixed asset like a house, it's actually doing you worse because
100%.
It's just sitting there idle.
100%.
You know what I'm saying? So cash on the sidelines feels so good, but like everybody listening, it's the biggest false sense of security because if you listen to anybody's story, I started with 5,000, I started with 10,000. Look at Max Effort Muscle. We started it with 100,000 and I mean, it's the same thing.
I call it employing dollars. You need to employ your money. Your money needs to be employed, and you need to constantly work it. Get something over on it. Work it. Get something over it. These conversations right here, when I talk to my
this is real life stuff too. People are going to run into this stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe their situation's a little different, but everybody's going to go through where should they go get what they want. And maybe should they put themselves out there a little bit more, or because I have a feeling that you're not really putting yourself out.
So
like you can handle it.
I don't want to. What I don't want to do, and even put my spirit or put my. So I believe things you put into your world, you put into your spirit, right? I don't want to settle for something I know I don't want. Period.
Right.
I
went through the same thing, Mo. I went into 3 or 4.
So then, what is the quantifiable price of happiness, because that has to figure into this equation.
I like that.
You know what I'm saying?
Quantifiable price. I don't know.
Because for you, it's like, you talked about your daughter, having a house, having a space, having all this stuff, and you can do it. But I can almost sense the uncomfortability on you, but you can do it, and all the things you want are there, but you're battling with there's always going to be better investments out there.
Here we go. So let me ask you. So I wouldn't be right here if I wasn't getting kicked out. If I was in the same house,
but everything's you always get pushed in these but things happen to push you in situations.
Boom. So
don't deny it.
No. So that's the universe working.
Of course it is. Let me tell you, it was time for you to get out of that place anyway, Mo.
Let me tell you how spooky.
That's the first thing I thought.
Spooky.
You told me.
Love the word.
This was spooky.
Hashtag it.
So as you think and speak, so shall you become. I told my daughter we out of here this summer. I couldn't decide how I was going to get out of here, but when the lady told me I had to get out, I was like, oh, time to go.
It got to figure it out.
Time to go.
Hey,
you feel where I'm coming from?
So you're pushed into something better.
Through pain, through suffering. I had this conversation too. Through suffering and pain becomes who you are, right? That's
Absolutely.
how you grow. This is a painful thing, and John he's hitting
a pain in the ass.
It's pain on a lot of levels,
Yeah.
and so, but I'm asking myself, Reese, don't deny yourself from what you want. You know what I'm saying? Don't deny yourself. Like, my thing right here is don't deny yourself from you know what you like, just how you say you felt. Like, look, my thing is to be as successful as personally possible, to do great service with great people, to also live the life that I want to live. Literally, period. And I know what I want, and I know there's some options that have been presented to me. I said, I just don't want this shit. And it's not to look down on anything, but this isn't what I want. It's no different than if we go to what is it called? My favorite breakfast spot, Cracker Barrel. I don't want pancakes. I like the fucking French toast. Not to say pancakes are bad, but this is what I want. And so, but that's to the listener. Like, you just can't. I think you cheat yourself in life when you just settle for shit that you don't want. So, like,
So don't settle for it, Mo.
Don't settle for it. Listen,
Mo, I think you know the answer.
And I could see the generational thing in you too, where it's like this thing
But
that's
Mo,
just
break
so
through.
foreign,
Hey.
and
Dude,
it's time to just bust
I would
it.
say you're about to break through right now.
Dude, I'm telling you, I'm breaking through, and this isn't even a hard conversation. I just need to articulate it to my family. I'm not settling for this. This is not what I want.
Yeah.
This is how I don't see us living like this. I want to live like this, but then to consciously and to factually on paper make it make sense. Now, so I won't let my emotions drive this thing. I need to go down. Okay.
You're thinking about that chunk of money. You're thinking about the chunk of money you got to throw down.
Your emotion could hold you back from it.
Yeah, but I tell you like this. I play this, but I do enjoy.
How many more sponsors we need, Mo? Let's do it here. We'll get it
find
done right here.
No,
Business biceps right here, baby. We got it, baby. We got it. We gonna ease it. We gonna ease it. We gonna ease that bird.
We need more shows.
Yeah. Here's the question I would ask.
I got this, motherfucker.
I would ask yourself: Are you at the highest earning point you've ever been at in your life?
Ever, yes.
Okay, so every financial advisor I've worked with or talked to says it ain't about if you got $1 million in the bank, John, this or that. It's about what you have coming in. That's what it's
Cash
all
flow.
about. So if your brain is stuck on that, I got to chunk down $250,000 or I got to chunk down this. Like if you're at a place where you're monthly, it's coming in and there ain't no stop in sight because you know what you're working
we're
to set.
growing.
Right, you're
We're
just
growing.
setting it up.
Yeah, we're growing.
So
You're more dialed than I've ever seen. you,
right.
bro.
So if you had
Listen, we're
20G in
growing.
the bank
Yeah, we're growing.
and you had the money coming in, like you're in a better position with no money in the bank with the money you got coming in now than
Yes.
if you had 250 in the bank and the money was coming in slower.
So here we go. So
faucet's
like
on.
even the faucet's on, right?
Yes.
So what our thing? So what my thing is just like, damn, I could put this money into building this out to build our business out.
Are
know
you
what I'm
gonna
saying?
Are you gonna stop making money?
No,
There you go. So that's
Is it going to slow that up?
no,
no.
There you go.
no.
Mo,
I
can you
think y'all
invite me?
answered my
Hey, when you
questions.
buy it, can you invite us over? Because I can't wait to see
We're
it.
gonna shoot a
Yeah.
podcast on that. Let's go ahead and break
All
down
I
the
keep
stage now.
all I keep seeing is iced tea on cribs walking out on the balcony.
Hey, bro, I'm telling you. So, I even envision, right? So, one thing, believe it or not, one thing that I do want to do, and this may sound weird to other people, but another thing I enjoy, just as you enjoy video games, believe it or not, still enjoy working with young kids and coaching football.
You
And
haven't
so-
done it in a while either, have you?
No, I enjoy. Listen, they don't have to give me a fucking dime to do it. Whenever I go to camps, get invited to them. I spent so much time from my 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th grade year, college, being out of sports, and I understand the game a lot. I understand functional movement a lot. I understand the nuances a lot, and I know football's a bit different, but I understand the mentality. And I remember they invited me. Some guy invited me to some little high school deal he was doing, and I can remember just watching these kids. I was like, "Fuck, they don't know what they're doing." You know what I'm saying? I could just feel it in my soul. And I remember I got inspired. Deion Sanders, he had a ranch. I don't know if you can remember. This was probably like 8, 9,
I
10
follow
years
him
ago.
on IG. I see he's got his whole compound. It's
But
sick.
he brings high school kids there,
That's cool.
and so he brings. I don't know
Deion's
if you know
cool.
it. Like So he bought this house in the country. I don't even know where it's at.
It looks like some
Texas.
country shit. Like he's driving around on 4-wheelers and he got ponds and it's sick.
He went to the country, but what
Yeah.
he does is he invites all these kids, and so he has a high school, and he literally trains them. And he trains them up the right way, and so I said for Ohio because people like I think you should invest in what made you right. I just really
Fuck
believe
yes.
Yeah.
had football had I not had football, no probably I wouldn't even be in front of you all.
Yeah.
I just probably wouldn't. You know what I'm saying? I probably wouldn't be in front of the world. But the game had given me so much from discipline to work ethic to skill to so much. Like I just want the opportunity. I want the platform to invest back in the kids, but to give so much more. You know, I really have that vision of doing that. And so I seen this property and I was like, fuck, you can put this back here. I even thought, listen to me. I said I can fuck a yard. I will put field turf back here. I will make a real live football field in my backyard. Put the barn up and make a fucking training
Do it
center.
all, bro.
It's coming full circle back to the creativity thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're not letting like, oh, my neighbors would think this. No, you're just like creatively that it sounds beautiful
man,
to
dude,
you,
listen
and
to me.
nothing's interrupting.
I don't
you.
give a
Listen,
fuck. I
I'm
do that.
I'm thinking of 70 yards of field turf. And I just do it, of course. And there's no homeowners association out here, right? So I said to myself, you build 70 yards of field turf. You put probably like a 2-foot. Now it would cost some money. A little 2-foot stone wall, and then you put a fence on top of it. You know, just for wildlife that could come in and fuck up the field. And I said, then you run a fence all the way around it. And I said, you take the pole barn. It has one on there.
That's awesome.
You make a fucking huge weight facility, and not like no rinky dink shit. You got
Right.
some kids, you want to get them better. You really want some skill work. Bring your ass out here.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And
like
really,
like a ranch.
in my free time, and build it in. But to work with these kids, and so these are personal things I want to do. If it comes off sounding gaudy and if
No.
it comes out
See, the
sounding
thing is that
anything-
you're so close to it because the platform you have, right?
Yeah.
You have an Instagram. If you posted like, "Hey, dudes from this area, come by or hit me up," and say, it would happen for you in like 5 days because people don't have your name. You have a name that people, boom, they grab it. It's like something like that you could set up like this, so you're way closer to it than you may feel.
Oh, brother, I feel like I'm very close, but I tell you like this: we're gonna stick a big max effort sign in the middle of the field.
There we go.
But I'm telling you. So I was at some point, I'm young. I'm 34.
Pull the trigger.
Yeah, no, I still want to work with athletes at some point.
I love it.
I still like, but in a different capacity, and these are the things I did intentionally. I didn't even plan on talking about this shit, but this is just I see myself like athletes will respect me more if I built myself up doing real business. You know what I'm saying?
No question. You've always said that.
Yeah, I've always believed it, and I've also wanted to inspire guys coming out of prison. These are just two different things, right? But in a nutshell, I wanted to come and inspire them, athletes, professional athletes, say, hey, I understand how to put the infrastructure around you if you want to build yourself back up, build yourself outside of the game of football, and I've done it. I'm not using you as you. You are not
so needed.
It's
my
needed
deal.
bad.
So needed.
And you're talking about so many young guys, and I've traveled the country and legitimately want to have value to offer to these guys and be able to talk about investments and lifestyle and understand culturally how we just talk about trust. Literally, a lot of these guys just don't trust the shit out of anybody. But I want, at some point in my life, I would love to get back into working with athletes and athletics because I'm a firm believer, and this is just culturally. I'm speaking outside of just Maurice wanting to be in the house, right? But just culturally, and I said it all the time, that young black kids from inner city America should be able to offer more than just football camps in their hometowns, right? So I'm the most notable figure from Youngstown. Or no, I'm not the
You
most
should be
notable.
offering business camps.
There's a lot that you can offer. So if you have that much notoriety, that much pull, that much influence over a certain demographic of people, you can start to control the narrative of what's cool, what's acceptable, what do we drive into, and now you can pull from city government, you can pull from businessmen, you can pull different programmatic stuff. Like I'm working in school systems, I can teach you how to work inside of school systems. I can teach you how to work inside your community. I can teach you how to bring value that far surpasses you scoring a touchdown on the field. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And that's sort of like just think about the shit I'm learning from you all. You know what I'm saying? Like how do you help
Shit, we've
guys?
been learning a lot from you, Mo.
Yeah, but you know where I'm coming from.
It's
But I'm
mutual.
talking about just even seeing this stuff and just how this was built and how it's a real thing. But there's so much you can talk to guys about and teach them. And just imagine you all could come in front of them. So at some point,
Right, even though the skin's white, we can still talk to them, right?
it doesn't matter. To put like this to people in real America, that, like I think there's like this. Old America still feels a certain way, but if you grew up in this generation,
You don't feel that way.
unless you grew up in the sticks. If you grew up in the sticks,
That's why I left the sticks.
no, yeah, but if you
Originally.
grew up in the sticks, you don't know any difference. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But I mean, that's a whole different story. But so when I think about my life and when I think about like even as I'm talking to this, I'm still getting excited because these are my thoughts. And so if I go and settle for something else, I'm denying myself.
Fuck
And
yeah.
I'm not living.
Don't do it, Reese.
So don't
You
put a
feel
price
me?
tag
Nah.
on it. But don't put
Nah,
a
not
fucking
at all.
price tag
Hey,
on it if
keep
all
at-
you
hey.
do every day is work to make money. Stop putting a price tag on these things that will fulfill you. All
Yeah,
you
there you
do
go.
every day is try to make money.
Hey, keep
and you're
asking me.
making it.
I'm gonna tell you to.
Get it.
Brother, listen to me. I mean, the question's already answered. I'm talking to you all about
Yeah.
like.
Yeah.
So I didn't just make this shit up here. These are things that I legitimately want to do, and I don't want to. I'm not trying to train kids to make money. I want to train kids because I enjoy the actual like. Listen to me. I enjoy the process of like working your ass off in the off season, perfecting your craft, understanding what filming look like, understanding that you're more than just this fucking athlete, understanding that this like so when I got kicked out of school, not to take it to football, just all the stuff I'm talking about that I needed, that I could have used, or I wish that would have been available to me, just didn't exist. And
Hey,
so,
that's how you can create it now.
but just think about how many guys, when they're done
Oh.
playing sports, want to help out in their community, but they just don't know how.
Nobody
what I'm
knows how. Think about how many guys want to like work. They don't literally know how to work.
No.
They don't know how to report to someone and not get their personal or their ego involved. They don't know how to do it.
No.
It's not like they can't do it.
They just
They
don't
don't
know
know
how.
how to do
No.
it, and they've never been taught it, like you were talking about. So these are all things that are creative thoughts in your head that are damn good ones. And I think when we have these things, like we got to chase them. Like I got this fucking big sign for me. It's like, hey, pussy, like you can afford it. Go open up a little spot, little art gallery. I love just buying and selling. And I think I can fucking make some cool shit up like that people fucking want. And even if I don't make $1, I don't care because I'm happy doing it.
Just like the coffee shop thing you were talking about. Same thing.
Yeah.
For some reason, it's just in your brain, ain't
but
it?
you know why I like coffee? Because I've tasted so much shitty coffee, and I said, man, they just threw the shit in the pot. Even though it doesn't mean nothing to anybody else,
Yeah.
it means nothing to anybody else. I said, man, this is some bullshit coffee. They just threw the shit in
Maurice
the pot.
Claret, the coffee connoisseur. Had
Dude,
no clue.
Yeah, you're trying to fill a
fucking
niche, but
Had no
it's
clue.
the same thing. Here's my thing. This and this shouldn't bother me, but it does. If you walk into any semi-successful single man's home, he's buying some fucking flowers that he found at Marshall's Home Goods because no dude knows how to fucking decorate with style. They don't know how to tie it, right? So I'm like, I got a man way to make shit cool. Okay, single dudes who have their own places, they decorate it. They'll either put up a jersey. It's like a bit. A woman walks in and is like, really? Or you got some
Maurice's jersey tacked to my.
or like a $30 fucking picture of flowers. Men don't know how to fucking decorate, you
No,
know,
not at
and
all.
that gets me. It gets me, you know.
You talking about me? I don't know how to decorate.
That's why when
shit.
John talks about the set, I already know he knows what he wants it to look like.
Dude,
I have no like that stuff doesn't really.
I
do it for
don't
me.
have a creative brain. Like so,
I have a creative brain, but not for
don't.
that kind of stuff. Like, I think John should go into interior decorating.
I love it. I fucking
but you
love
know
it.
what? But you know what though? It makes sense because he likes art.
Yeah, exactly.
So art,
That's the way his brain
it's
works.
artistic. So if you think, that,
Sure.
that makes sense. Of like if I like art and your eye, so you have a look for it. Me,
Well, it's pleasing to him. That's what he's interested in.
yeah.
It's not
And
something
there's
I
no
don't-
boundaries.
I
There's
don't
no
even
rules.
I don't even notice it.
Let me tell you this: I will walk in like this, or I'll walk in on the set. It's all the same to me.
Yes, I'm the same.
So, like, when I look at that, okay, for the listener who's, I'm pointing at a Metallica poster. It's like an Old West with a big sun. All I think when I look at it is, okay, Max Effort's branding, that style of imagery, at what place? Like, I've looked at that for at least 100 hours and thought, like, what place could we go Old West, vintagey, kind of old school, like. And there may never be a time when we do, but there might. But that's what I love about art because it occupies my mind, and you never know. I just love staring at it.
You know where the labels came from was a piece of art. Piece of art from John's wall.
Pele.
There's a Pele poster that had
That's where those lines came
had
from.
similar lines around it, and Pele's in the middle of it, and that's what John was like, man, we should reach out and do this and that, and like that's how the ideas kind of started flowing.
You know who shot the Pele movie? The
Zimbalist Brothers. Yeah, that's right. John, how did you back to the original subject?
Yeah.
How have you fended it off all these years? Because like not only have you stayed creative, but you got other stuff going on.
Yeah.
You know that your mom talked about on the episode, and you've spoke about like to not close that part of your brain down to stay.
I think I've been a natural skeptic. I'm not just gonna believe you because you're Jeff Bezos, right? For me growing up, I'm not going to believe you because you're my dad. I'm not going to believe you because you're my mom. That's why I always say the most important word in the English language is why. And if I ask somebody why, and they say, that's the way it is, or they give me a whack-ass answer, even when I was 4 years old, I'd be like, fuck that. I could figure out a better way. That's stupid. That doesn't make sense. If it doesn't make sense, it doesn't make sense. Therefore, your information I don't need. I'm going to seek real. And that's always what it's been. I don't care if you're the president, or any president. It just, if it don't make sense to me, I'm moving on. I don't give a fuck who you are. Michael Jordan, I love you. I'm from Chicago. But if you give me some whack-ass information, I don't care. I give it nothing.
John said, remember when my favorite things that you guys have said most recently, different podcasts and off air. Maurice said he doesn't ever believe he can get injured
I know what you're
lifting
going to
weights.
say. I know what you're going to say.
All right, which is an amazing comment.
Yeah, I don't.
I know you believe that. That's why. And John says to me in a car ride. We'll leave the context out of why he said that, but he goes, I believe when I'm in an argument that my view is superior. Or my opinion is superior. And as he's saying it, he's laughing because he believes it 1,000,000%. as much as you believe that you can't get injured lifting weights.
Yeah.
I just think I wanted to bring everybody's attention to
Hey,
that these comments
like
are,
we say,
the
there's-
confidence is unbelievable.
there's gotta
so
be-
you should buy the house, Mo. And John, I don't know what the fuck.
I'm just fucking out of my mind, okay? But there's got to be a level of crazy
Yes,
to do the
yes.
things we do.
Agreed.
And I'm fucking
I'm just saying it's
self-admittedly a little insecure, unstable.
No,
Yeah.
it just I
Hey,
just thought it was hilarious.
To the listener, if you don't believe you won't get injured, it won't happen.
I know.
Hey,
Yes!
I just think it's one of the best. Oh shit, monitor on. Oh,
Technical difficulties.
no, where's the fucking mouse at? Hit enter. All right. So
Yeah, okay.
anyway, I just think both those statements are pretty amazing.
Oh, they're fantastic.
I don't even know how long we've been going for. An hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Should we close it up? Do you have
Sure.
anything?
I mean, I guess I'd like to know why, just for example, like why you think that you, in your mind, have been able to fend off the forces that prevent creativity.
Yeah, that's funny. I was trying to think about that as Mo was talking and you were talking, and I believe it's because for some reason early, and I can't figure out exactly when it was, but I started, and it probably started with my parents and then just other people as they're around. I just realized that nobody really felt that fulfilled. I could just see it. Everybody was
Yep.
always complaining or was upset, and things weren't, there was no momentum to anything, and everything just felt difficult and not really that smooth, right? And I started to think, and I was like, it's probably because no one likes what they're doing.
Right.
They just don't, right? And then I would see some creativity come from my dad from time to time when he was on strike. He would try, he had like an interior cleaning business. He did this dog bit, but none of these things were things he loved to do. They were things he thought he could make money at.
Right.
And there's a whole different animal there, right? Literally. So I think that I just kind of got onto this thing that, and then even as working in high school, I worked at Ponderosa, which was amazing. If you guys have ever even been one of
I
those,
love the chicken wings.
yeah, most people do.
Taco
So I
bar.
worked at Ponderosa, and then when I worked at the sawmill and the coal mine, the funny thing is the coal miners were the less unhappy. They were rough, like it's a hardcore community. The guys at the sawmill that I worked with, and there's some guys that did like that job, but the people at Ponderosa had been like a fry cook for 20 years. These people just were extremely unhappy.
Right.
There were some few people that did like their job, but I think that I just continually ran into people that didn't like what they did and were just so unhappy. And I was like, wait a second, like I know why. Because no one gets up and says, boom, I want to stack lumber for 10 hours today. They just, in my mind,
They settle.
they settled for that, right? And I'm not trying to make any enemies at home because that's not my intention.
Gotcha.
Because same thing as you can do from your neighborhood, Mo, is like you, and
but it's the truth. It's the truth.
and sometimes it is the truth. But for me, I was like not willing to settle, and I knew that I kept sticking out no matter what I did. And so I was like, okay, things are going well. I'm starting to execute where my ideas are going. My momentum has never really slowed ever since then, to be honest with you. Like I might have had some like peaks and valleys, but it's always moved forward towards if I just stuck to what feels natural, what I like to do, and what I enjoy, and I just kept working for it. And I just think I never let outside sources like pressure. Even Rachel sometimes will be like not knowingly say like, "Don't you care? What do you think the neighbor thinks?"
Fuck the neighbor.
I never think of that because I
Yeah, I
really
get
don't
it.
care.
I
I was literally the first football field I put in my yard. I painted it with like a house paint roller, and I knew somebody was gonna come outside like, "What the fuck are you doing painting your?" But then once they understood what I was doing, exactly, that's the part. So I don't really care. But at the end of the day, I think that I just never let outside because nothing around me was feeling better than as I kept moving along that I was feeling. They just looked miserable to some degree. So I was like, well, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing because the consensus of what's happening, it's just the environment is not.
totally get
Does
it.
that make sense? I mean, that's and I
as
think
you're
it's
talking, it sounds a lot like
a
myself.
lot like yourself, right?
100%.
So that's really like I think that I just understood that at a really young age for some reason, and then I made my mind up that I wasn't going to fall trap to it.
Yeah.
That's it. And I
I
thought,
get
you
it.
know what? Fuck it. I see myself doing what you're about to do right now, buying this. And I have, and Maurice, I'm sure he'll be the same way, the gratitude every day when I come home from the gym. Every day when I walk in the gym. When I walk in the gym every day and I throw my keys down, I know it's my
Happy.
dream gym.
Yeah.
I didn't. I
You
had
didn't
that
cheat
big.
yourself.
No,
You didn't cheat
I had that big thing, MP and all that. That wasn't even me. That wasn't my dream. Old school gym's my dream. I walk in and go, boom, this is my place. Let's fucking get it on. Boom, I drive home and I go, I still can't believe, I have gratitude. I still can't believe it happened. I know why it happened. I'm going to continue to make it more so. I created an asset for my family, but it's like I still have ultimate gratitude for it because it's still believe, it's like, whoa.
It still feeds your soul.
It still feeds
I
my
think
soul.
y'all help me make my decision.
Every,
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah, I
hey,
can't cheat
Mo, there
myself.
isn't, hey, listen to me.
No,
There isn't
no,
one day I
no.
come home I don't think that. There isn't one day. I
Yeah.
pull it because you know how my house sits. You
It's like
pull around the
Chaturanga.
corner.
Yep.
You pull around the corner. I'm the first one on the block, and I'm just like, holy shit, this is my life. And but I had sacrificed for it. No one gave it to me. You know that's and no one gave it. Dude, motherfucker, you was all over the news. You had to battle so many demons.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you should.
It's
you
making a
should
statement to yourself, not other
Yeah.
people. It's just
That's
like
it.
I.
Oh, I get it.
Yeah.
That's why I don't ever really like post about my stuff.
It's not
'cause
I
really,
did it.
It's not really about that.
Right.
It's enjoyable for friends and family, and that's why I put some kegs by the pool, and I want people to enjoy it. You know, that's why I built my backyard.
It's your
It's
happy
happiness.
place,
That's
right?
exactly what it is.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
so anyway, I can't wait to come over.
Oh, we gonna
yeah.
do it.
Hey, go get that place when you leave here.
Yeah, this was good.
Time to get it.
Time to get it.
Mo, warrior, just warrior
Yeah,
before that
exactly.
shit. Fucking chaturanga, and you're good.
All right, make
bro.
sure you guys hit that subscribe button. Download that mother.
Yeah, dude. We appreciate you. We look at the numbers every week, and they're feeding our studio. They're feeding everything we do. And all we ask is that little subscribe button, guys. It's free, and I know you guys are subscribing because the downloads are way up. But when you subscribe and it pops up in your feed, hit that little cloud for us because then we get a download.
Absolutely.
And that's what we need to keep growing and keep firing out epic content and growing our YouTube presence, which we're going
Yes.
to do with a
Go to
Class
YouTube.
A studio.
Business and Biceps. Make sure you guys leave us a positive comment, review.
Yeah,
We can use that too. We can never have. We're well over 1,000, but you can
yeah,
never have
man,
enough.
that's Keystone right there, man.
That is Keystone. Make sure you go to shop.bstseafood.com. We want to give you 15% off. Fresh East Coast seafood delivered straight
Flounder,
to you.
scallops, and
Salmon,
Superman
halibut,
punches.
red snapper, tuna, haddock, flounder, oysters. Make sure you go to shop.bstseafood.com. Biz buys 15% off. MaxEffortMuscle.com for all your supplement needs. Any 3 products and a free T-shirt for $100. Any 5 products and a free T-shirt for $160. And we are working on so many new SKUs that are be coming out here soon. We're excited about.
Man, you know what we're doing? We're gonna start catering to everybody. We obviously love and embrace the powerlifting, bodybuilding, hardcore world, but we're coming out with stuff that you can give to anybody in your
Greens,
family.
nootropics.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just stuff that caters to your everyday life in and outside of the gym. We're really growing the line, and I think everybody's really gonna be happy with the products.
No, absolutely.
Yep.
Hearing Maurice talk about football stuff, we need to do some football content.
Absolutely. Like Cory try to tackle Maurice.
No.
I'll film that.
John
I'll
trying to
film
tackle
it.
Maurice. No, but teaching wise, I think that'd be really cool because some of the parents that are following the channel,
Hey, real quick, tell the story what you told me about when Maurice was playing flag football and
Oh, yeah.
someone tried to take his flag.
Hey, remember I think it was the first flag game. That
Rachel's
was
father.
no, not that. That was a better one too. But when we played in that flag game in Granville, and you came around the corner, and a dude tried to some dude who sells insurance or some shit tried to fucking try to size up Mo, and it just was natural reaction. He just ran him over. I mean, right? You remember that shit, Reese? And it was just because it's Super Bowl for some people.
So-
Wait, was the shoulder lowered? Or?
Yeah, of course
Yeah,
he did.
so here we go.
Fucking annihilated this guy.
Once you get first of all, I'm not a flag football player.
No,
Yeah,
listen,
obviously.
we were losing. He said, "I don't give a fuck if it's charity. I'm trying to win."
I don't. So flag football is for dudes who weigh 175 to 195, right? And those are dudes who mobile, can make you miss and juke you. Those dudes, those type of dudes. You know what I'm saying? it was natural reaction. He's by me. I'm running fast. I don't know how to put on the brakes, motherfucker.
Right.
Like the brakes are.
And
when
he
you
looked like he was
stop.
gonna tackle you.
And he lowered. All right, motherfucker, let's go. You know what I'm saying?
So one of the guys who paid, I don't forget, $250 to play the game.
Oh,
Maurice
man.
ran him over. He
Yeah.
got the VIP.
Yeah, he got the
fucking-
VIP neck twist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So good.
I apologize. Yeah, I just
was so-
Instinct wins.
That was so good.
instinct. Yeah, you got that right.
All right. Can the podcast be stopped?
There's no fucking way the podcast can't be stopped.
The podcast can't be stopped.
Can't be stopped.
Can't be
stopped.
Can't be stopped. Can't be stopped.
Oh, okay.
But it doesn't look like it records. Like saves it. Oh, gotcha. Okay. That was fucking hilarious. So our ad reads are just podcast influencer max effort and job Mo.